Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report from ICAST in Orlando on this July the 18th is the day for the reports. We are going to check in, though I'm down here. We're going to check in with our crew. We're going to talk to Tom, Lee, Gentry by phone, and Tracy and find out what's happening in our bodies of water back home. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. To Tom Ott, going to tell us what's going on at Guntersville. Tom, I miss home. Looking forward to being back soon. But what's going on there on the big lake in the sky?
Well, I tell you, Dano, we don't need all the new fangly gadgets yet up here. We're still catching fish on the good old stuff, but it's coming. It's coming. I tell you, I keep waiting for the dog days to really kick in, and I mean it's hot, and it's you're kind of dodging a lot of storms, a lot of weather. But with the rain, we're really getting a lot of oxygenated water in there, and the fish seem to stay extremely active. And even some of the shallow fish, starting to see a little bit of ratfish popping up, up in that shallower area. But anything that you can get through, as a weedless kind of a popper in there is just money right now. I mean, they're still up there chasing brim, which seems a little late to me, but I'm not going to complain. I mean, I like to catch them. I don't care if they're, 10 pounders every time or not. But, again, I sound like a broken record, but you're going to have to get out there and really catch those big concentrations of fish. But, the lake traffic is dying down a little bit as far as the fishing goes. The wreck traffic is picking up. But, if you get out there early in the morning, late in the evening, even doing some night fishing, you can catch those big old fish out there in Guntersville, man. It's not easy, but you got to, but it's good fishing when you catch them for sure.
Yeah, that's the truth. I know white bass have been starting to fly around a little bit. Of course, there's always the bluegill, the brim that you can play with, even around docks, right?
Yes.
There's some just good fishing if you want to just get your line stretched.
That's really the thing, Dano. I mean, don't give up on anything. If you're fishing around docks, there's not a lot of docks on Guntersville, but the docks that are there definitely hold fish. So, don't get stuck on one pattern and think that this is the only way it's going to happen, because Guntersville's one of those special places. You can catch them all species, all day, any day. It's crazy.
Have you seen any big catfish coming out? Because I know when it gets hot, those catfish will start moving around.
Well, I know a type of fish that really likes some koikis also. So the catfish will definitely eat a koiki. So watch that one. But yeah, I've seen some big catfish, and they kind of roam around the same areas on the bottom that the bass do. But they may select a little bit more mushy areas, things like that, a little bit darker, that kind of thing. But yeah, they are very active, and you can definitely tell what they are if you see them on a scope.
Well, brother, as always, we appreciate everything. We thank you, and we'll talk to you again next week. Tracy Robinson, man, he's one of those ones that keeps on top of all that stuff, and he keeps on top of Logan, Martin, and Lay Lake for us. Tracy, tell us what's going on in your neighborhood.
Yep, Diane, those similar patterns as last week. Not a lot of change there. Got some afternoon showers, a little bit of current off and on each day. They're running the turbines. About lunchtime each day they'll turn the turbines on at Neely end and turn the turbines on the lower end there at Logan Martin. So it's impacting Logan and Lay both a little bit. The fishing picks up, during that time, but just kind of starting out in the mornings on Logan. It's just like, we talk about each week, that topwater bites, really good in the morning. There's a good bit of schooling activity too. Some of these schools of fish that I'm seeing out there, I mean, there are hundreds of fish in them, and there's kind of no rhyme or reason where they're coming up at. But if you keep you some topwater tied on there when you're out fishing in the morning, you start seeing that activity there, head to them, and those are pretty easy to catch. But besides those fish, between the docks there, down there, the topwater, the spook, that's a really good bite right now. Pretty much from the I-20 bridge down, you can get bit on that topwater bite there. Those hard banks between the docks is probably the best way to do it. Closer to the river, river's hot. creeks are hot. It's all hot down there, but it seems like that water flow near the river is where most of the activities are. Largemouth still in the brush piles. The brush is still a deal down there for that. The koiki, plastics, jig, whatever you kind of slower baits are that you want to throw in some of those isolated brush piles is where your largemouth are. They're just few and far between, but there are a few to be caught there. And then there's a million docks on the lake. If you can find some that aren't, don't have the weekend crowd on them there or whatever, you can catch them on the docks as well. Lace, similar story down there. Hot current makes the fish and pitch cup a little bit during the afternoon hours. For me, still the grass bite's still happening a little bit in the mornings. They are, a little bit the vegetation is really thick right now, so you're having to work to get over in some of it. There's some really viney mats, but if you're into that kind of thing on pulling them back on big old bass, that's the best way to do it down there right now is dropping that 1 ounce weight over in there with your creature bait on there and punching. That's the best way to catch some of the bigger fish right now. It gets a little bit monotonous because you're having to drop it a lot of times before you get bit, but when you do get bit, it's a pretty good bite. Spinner bait around some of the bluffier banks on the lower end, catching some pretty decent spots. Again, that bite picks up whenever that current gets rolling down there. Both Lay and Logan seeing a lot of catfishermen out there. On Logan, it's more the main river deal out kind of I-20 area, sitting out in the middle. I see those guys with the 8 or 10 rods out there that cut bait, and I'm seeing them boat up sometimes. Not sure exactly what size they're catching, but I am seeing a lot of guys out there catfishing on both Logan and Lay.
Brother, as always, man, we appreciate all the info. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Lee Pitts, who's going to run us all the information about Weiss Lake and Neely Henry. Lee, let's start at Neely Henry, man. Is there current going through there? Are those fish upriver kind of starting to turn on a little bit when that happens?
A little bit, but you nailed it. You've got to have the current. Last week down there, I went upriver and it was kind of slick up there, not much water moving, and just the size wasn't there. So the bigger bites, I think you've got to have some current coming through there. These spots that can get up on these high bluff banks and kind of ambush prey as it comes by, and that's what they're looking for. Get that water moving a little bit, get some oxygen going, and they get a little more aggressive. But Neely's fishing good right now. You can catch both spots and largemouth about any way you want to catch them. The grass bite is still doing pretty good. You've got to look for that thicker grass with maybe a little shade in it and a mixture of some wood to get a little better bite. But you can still stay with that grass bite pretty much all day. It's just covering a lot of water and looking for the thicker stuff that you can beat around. I know the dock bite has been pretty good on Neely. A lot of these guys are pitching that space ball around under there and they're picking it up. So it's just one of those things. Creature baits, plastics, things like that around the docks. That's what you're looking for, and try to find something that's got not just the dock poles, but maybe some brush and some good shade on it. That's one of the things you're really looking for on Neely.
All right, turn to Weiss Bass Bite. Tell me what's going on.
The river bite upriver and some of the main river channels that's got some stumps and some brush on it right now is holding some fish. Once again, current helps that bite. You get some water moving, it's really going to help those fish get a little bit more aggressive, and they're more apt to chase a bait down a little bit. But you can get out there, offshore jig, wobblehead, something like that. Even throwing a Texas rig, big ribbon tail worm out there on the deeper stuff and catch some of these largemouth. Spotted bass like that straight tail a little bit better. Downsized jig, they'll pick that smaller, jig up that you can kind of hop around out there and stroke it. But the white bass also are still schooling. You can ease around off the river in some of the ditches, some of the high spots, and really you can see them on your hummingbirds as you come through there. You go over them, and they shine like apples on a tree down there. So you can roll back on them and do a vertical approach or hop a spoon off of them or do whatever you want to do.
And I know the white bass are still kind of tooling around out there, and you can probably even find some brim around some of them docks and some of them little brushy areas around there too. Lee, as always, brother, thanks for everything. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week. But I want to check in with Gentry Gordy right now and talk a little bit of fishing on Lake Morton and Jordan Lake. Hey, what's going on, Gentry?
Hey, man, it's funny you're an outcast because I know the big friend there's Urchin Base and the Corkies are, there's so many names for them.
Yep.
But man, I was against it because it's the dumbest looking thing that I think I've ever seen. But I went fishing about a week ago, man, and I bought one on the way to the lake, and I bought 6 more on the way home. It's insane, dude. I've never seen anything like it. But Martin and Jordan is the same. Like I've got like a green pumpkin one with some flake in it, pitching around these docks, and then taking a white one or a gray shad colored one. And especially, both lakes, man. When you get out over it, you find them fish and spit it up underneath a ball of bait. You can throw a jerk bait, might get one to eat it. You can throw a mimic, might get one to eat it. But you throw that urchin bait out there, let it sink past that bait, and it's unreal. You can see them on live just come up through the shad and eat that urchin. It's pretty crazy. There's other ways to catch it, but buddy, you ain't gonna catch me doing anything for the next couple of weeks until it wears off. And the only thing I haven't tried yet, Dano, is taking a black one up here at Martin and at Jordan at night and throwing it around some dot lights. That's going to be the next thing on the list. But I guarantee you they'll eat it because, at Martin, the night bite is still going to be the ticket. Early morning, late in the afternoon. But I'm really anxious to see what that thing would do around the dock line.
Well, I tell you, I think what it mimics, since we're talking about it, I think it mimics a whole school of shad is what it mimics. Each individual strand becomes like a little minnow. So I think that's what it mimics is that, and I think that's why it's getting bit. But let's take it and turn to Jordan. Tell me what's going on there.
Okay, a lot of them say, I am going to touch on one thing. Lake Martin has freshwater jellyfish in it. That's what makes me think of it.
Okay.
But anyway, on the Jordan, I'm doing a lot of the same. The river bite, we've had a little bit of rain, but they're not pulling much water. But if you're fortunate enough to get up there when they are, up the river in the mouth of the canals, like we say every week, that's just Jordan fishing. But man, running around with that corky thing, throwing it around the edge of grass, and skipping docks with it, hovering over some brush piles, and still getting bit on a big crankbait and a worm, but it's hard to put that thing down when you see just how they bite it. I have to make myself throw a big worm and a big crankbait offshore, and you can catch some fish. But your deep bite is definitely, it's happening at Jordan. You can get on some deeper docks with that thing instead of a jig, and you definitely get more bites with it.
Well, Gentry, we appreciate everything, my friend. Thanks for checking in your busy workday. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Well, that wraps up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, July the 18th. Thanks for tuning in with us. As always, folks, we appreciate everything that you do. We love hearing from you. We love hearing that you love the fishing reports, and we thank you for spending the time with us. Want to let you know, folks, that starting Monday, we're closed on Mondays. We're going to be open Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 8 to noon. Starting July the 20th, we're closed on Mondays. Come see us any chance you get. We got everything that you need, from the boats to the parts to the tackle and the apparel and accessories. Folks, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again next week.